All right, we're back. Fight Fans special guest on with us now. One of the best 168 pounders in the world, Shadasia Green. Thank
What's
you.
up, champ?
Hey, how you guys doing today? How y'all feeling?
Good.
Feeling
Thank you.
good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
I've
for
never had a chance to chop it up with you. Barack has had many conversations with you, and I've always spoke highly of you. So I'm excited to have you on the show today. You know, when I was thinking about the interview today, I thought about your pro career. You started, I think, in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
And Claressa started, I think, maybe 3 years before that, 2.5 years before that. Do you attribute all the success she's had because to the Olympic gold medals and the attention that she's gotten? And are you ever frustrated knowing the type of fighter you are, how good you are, that you haven't got the opportunities to be at that same level in terms of big fights?
I think that Claressa has implanted the groundwork starting in the Olympics. She probably could have stayed amateur and been a very successful amateur star, but she had dreams of her own, and she brought that intention that she had in the amateurs to the pros. So it's well deserved, all the success that she has. I probably competed on the international level for 2 years, and even then it was a shocker for me to do so well against some of the other heavyweight women that I were beating, champions and stuff like that. But in my earlier days, I was a bit, I would get a little depressed. But as I started to get older and I started to take that time to put in the work in the gym, I wouldn't change my path. I feel like every different person has a road to glory and success. It's all different. Nobody's paths are the same.
Right.
What's for you cannot be denied. I wouldn't change my path. I'm shocking people, and I'm going to continue to shock people. And my golden and my legacy and my dreams and aspirations will come to the light and come true. By the grace of God. And I feel like I don't regret anything in the way that things are going for me now.
And just my follow up to that is that I get that, and I feel that I share that sentiment in a lot of things. But how do you feel about when people say closed mouths don't get fed? Do you feel pressure sometimes? I got to do a little bit more, even though I know God has something for me. I'm a very talented fighter, but I got to speak a little bit more. Do you ever get pressured to doing that?
Always felt pressure. I've always felt that type of pressure. Even some of the people that I train around. Look, you got to talk more. Look, you got to do this. You got to do that. You got to post on Instagram, social media. It's just not my thing. And I want to say that I'm humble. And what I do is I get in there, I show it. I trained this morning. You'll never know because I didn't post it. I trained all week. Trained every day. You'll never know because I didn't say it and I didn't post it. I let the work for itself.
Wonderfully said. I like everything you said today so far. And it just so happens though that the person who's the champ now, she's different. She kind of reminds me of the Errol Spence, Bud Crawford thing, where Errol told Crawford long time ago, he said, don't worry, I'm gonna go grab up all of these other belts and then I'm gonna come see you. And literally that's what he did, and he kept his word. And I feel like Claressa Shields is the only one in boxing who's mentioning your name without anybody even asking her. She's just bringing you up. Like, what do you feel about that level of integrity where she's inviting you to a fight when you don't even have to open your mouth?
I feel great about that, and it just shows and it points out the type of person she is. Claressa, she wants all the smoke. She wants to fight the best. If they could create somebody to beat her, I think she'll get in the ring and prove that this person. It just speaks volumes about the competitor that she is. The other girls, they know me. I've been in the ring with so many fighters. There's two different type of people in this world. There's everybody else, and then there's the Claressa Shields, who, she understands the business of boxing. She understands that she doesn't need to go in there and have a one-sided fight that she can easily win to claim, who she is. She wants to take on the boogeyman.
Yeah,
Or the
and I'm
You
not
know?
saying anybody's ducking you. I'm just saying, like, every other fighter, they have an excuse because they want bigger prizes. They don't. Why would they fight you when Clarissa's the prize? But Claressa being the prize, she's calling you out. Well, not calling you out, but she's mentioning you. You know, and
Yeah.
I just thought that was amazing that two women who are very, very skillful. She once told us a while ago. She said she was naming. I think we once asked her about who do you like out there? Think is very skillful, and she literally only mentioned you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's high praises coming from the girl herself, you know, and I can appreciate that. Um, you know, we have history together. We've been in a ring together, and of course, that history was sidetracked when I went to Christina Hammer's camp to help her prepare for Claressa. So,
Oh, training with the enemy.
actually, so I could understand why we are at the place we are, but unfortunately, but fortunately, it works out for a rivalry.
Right.
You know,
Right.
look at it works out right now for that.
And then boxing
but-
needs that rivalries.
Yeah,
and you know, Barack said he doesn't feel like anybody's ducking you, but you've said great things about Claressa, and I respect that. Even though there are many critics out there, there are few critics that feel that you can beat Claressa. I've heard that out of people's mouths. So the fact that you're still showing her praise and calling her GOAT says a lot about you and your character. Now,
Yes.
but are there people out there that you feel are avoiding you?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you name a couple?
Franchon Cruz.
Hmm.
Franchon Cruz. Franchon Cruz.
Damn, that's one person.
Well,
It's a
she's
lot of
the
people.
undisputed champion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of people that are, you know, in my weight class or around my weight class. When we call or offer them fights, they don't accept, you know. Savannah Marshall, I don't think she's in the UK. So I became on her radar with my punching, my knockout ratio. So I wouldn't say that she's ducking me. She's not even a 168 pounder. She's a 160 pounder who just lost a close decision, or whatever you want to call it. It was a competitive fight. With the, you know, in her eyes, it might have been close, but I seen Claressa dominate, and so she's at the 160 division, and she gets to come up. Who wouldn't take an offer? Like
Right,
Franchon
right.
Cruz. Who says no? You know, Savannah's the name, unfortunately.
But Franchon has, you know, she has Savannah, which is a big name, you know, especially in the UK. That's huge. That's a big fight. And then they're probably gonna set up. Let's say if she's able to beat Savannah, she's gonna set up to probably fight her friend, Claressa. Isn't that a bigger fight? Does that mean that she's ducking you, or you just somehow?
Bigger fight. It's not a bigger fight. Claressa already beat Franchon. Claressa Shields already beat Savannah Marshall. Why do we want to see that again?
That's a good point. Maybe because it's like it's years later, you know, they got belts now.
No,
it's undisputed versus undisputed, you know.
I'm constantly working. So while they're trying to wait me out, it's going to be worse for them. The fight is this.
Meaning what? You're getting better.
I'm getting better. I'm not sitting on my behind and just sitting back eating popcorn. I'm just coming out and now. I'm working on my skills, and I'm working on, you know, if I see another fighter that does things well, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they throw a lot of combinations, then my goal is to go in here and prepare better and work on what it is that I'm lacking at, or maybe I'm not throwing enough combinations, or maybe my combinations aren't hard enough each punch. I'm working. Right. I'm not sitting around twiddling my thumbs, partying. Go out. I'm a married woman. I don't go out. I don't party. I just came back from the mountain, and I went to my mother's house to, you know, get a drill from my stepfather. Like, you know, my friends come over, but you know, the fight is this. Franchon ducked me for this fight. Supposedly they were already in negotiations. How does Savannah earn a shot at 168 super middleweight when she hasn't even contended in it? I don't know. Off of a loss? I don't know. So are we recycling opponents? Or what we do? So the fight is this: whoever wins fights Shadasia Green, and then Shadasia Green will, of course, be dominant and successful in that. This is my picture, and then Shadasia Green defends and fights Claressa Shields.
I like that scenario, and I mentioned that scenario to Barack last week when he talked about Claressa fighting Franchon, which it does seem like a big fight, but I mentioned that exact scenario. I want to ask you something because you said something funny off the record about you always speak to Terrence Crawford. Always says hi, but you think he might think you're Ann Wolf. Now you're from New Jersey, right? Paterson, New Jersey. Who's some of the fighters that inspired you? Like, what was that one fighter that you watched fight and you said, "Man, I love this sport. Like, I want to do that."
Not from my city. I'll speak for the boxing universe at first, but Floyd Mayweather is one of my favorite fighters, all-time favorite. I study a lot of George Foreman, Pernell Whitaker, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, all the old
greats.
Yes, great. You know, Bernard Hopkins, I study a lot. In my earlier days, I would used to look at the fights and I really didn't understand what I was looking at. But now, as you know, the more skillful and the more what I put into myself and put into the sport, I'm learning how to study these fighters and what punch set up that and defensively minded and just everything. You know, I believe those are some of my favorite fighters and who I like to watch. But from my hometown, you know, I came up around Kendall Holt, who father is the man that put gloves on me and is still my trainer today.
That's his father? That's Kendall Holt's father?
Barry Porter is Kendall Holt's father.
Oh, I never knew that. Yeah, he's a knockout artist, Kendall Holt. I was a big fan of his. You see, she didn't name any women. I know you was probably expecting her to name some women, but I've seen her in.
Not
I've
really.
Seen
The way she fights, I wasn't expecting her to say women.
I feel you on that. Listen.
One of my favorite female fighters, though, and a mentor is Amanda Serrano.
Wow.
You know, the female fighters I don't watch a lot of it, but when I do, it's Amanda Serrano, Alicia Bumgarner now, Katie Taylor, Claressa Shields. I support Claressa Shields. I'll watch a fight. Don't care what's going on. She can hate me. She can love me. The girl can fight, you know? Yeah. So, yeah. And even from some of my fighters from around here, Ian Green, a lot of people think we're brothers and sisters, but he's real skilled. Norman Nilly, Rajon Chance, DJ Flemington. It's a lot of fighters. That's Hakeem Nurse, Tank. We call him Tank because he hit like Tank, but his name is Greg. A lot of fighters from around my way who I'm training alongside with that are kicking my behind.
You mentioned Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. I want your opinion on that fight. There are a few people out there that felt like Amanda pulled that off. What was your take on the decision?
You're talking to one of them. Felt like Amanda that fight hands down. Right. She had her. I feel like Katie Taylor will never be the same after that fight.
Wow.
Interesting.
Never.
Yeah.
Took a lot of.
Especially that fifth round. Where she almost was gone. Yeah.
To me.
But yeah, no.
Yeah. So listen, Ann. Since you said Bud thinks that you're Ann Wolf.
Yep.
What do you do if the scenario is what I mentioned, that, you know, Savannah Marshall and Cruz DAZN is fighting, and then maybe the winner of that fights Claressa, and there's nobody there for you? What do you do in the meantime? Would you ever even think of going down to another weight class, fighting somebody else, or what?
That's something to consider. I wouldn't know. You know, I would of course just try to stay busy, and I cannot let my road be stopped. What it looks like is you got one particular team in person, or maybe two teams that are trying to keep me out of from having a title, from becoming undisputed. Somebody's writing it down, and they're back there like, okay, we cannot let Shadasia Green come on the scene and get these titles. But then you got Claressa, who's right now one of the head honchos that's like, we need Shadasia Green. The girl can fight. So I wouldn't let anything stop me. I'll do my best to stay active. I wouldn't say if I'll go down or go up. If it makes dollars and it makes sense and my team agrees, then I'm a team player, you know. Whatever I got to do to get me a step closer to what that I'm chasing, you know.
So obviously the plan is to get those big fights, to get the best fights for your legacy and for your paycheck. So what made you sign with Jake Paul?
Well, that's exactly what Jake Paul is doing himself. Amanda Serrano has given this sport so many years of her life without being compensated fairly, being paid in her rage for what she deserves. And with Jake Paul, so many years, fighting, probably for free, damn near. She's probably is the highest female fighter alongside Katie Taylor that's being compensated for what she's worth. Her career is she's a global star, not only for Rico, but she's a global star. And you know, she's a humble person, and she is also one of the pioneers who are making the sport huge. And that all happened because her and Jake Paul teamed up. I'm hoping that, you know, they can take a similar gateway for me as well. I have faith, and I trust them. But at the end of the day, God is my my light, my savior. So I trust him. You know, I got a lot of faith in the man upstairs and the man behind the pen. So.
How did you connect with Jake Paul? Did your team reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? Did Amanda kind of connect that meeting? How did that work out?
I know Amanda had been mentioning me for some time about how much of a skillful fighter was. We were supposed to spar. I was anxious to spar. She trains with Jordan. Her also mentioned me a lot. Jordan was really impressed with my talent. And Gary Starks, who trains Marcus Brown, I believe Sergey Derevyanchenko.
Yep.
You know, with Andre, they will come and watch spar or bring their guys, and I spar.
So how was you gonna spar Amanda Serrano? That's a big weight difference.
I was hoping that we could set it up. I asked her in her DM to spar. After I had spars this rounds with Richard Comey. Boy, that guy, he got a mean right hand.
I know.
Me and go back and forth. And Andre was there, was like, wow, you are. So Gary Starks went back, you know, and was saying, and I'm like, you know, Amanda probably told Jordan and Gary, like, listen, can we spar? Can we set up some work? I'm like, please, champion, let's set up some work. And Gary be like, no, she's too big.
Right.
And she killed. So how that happened was they kept mentioning me, of course, and they had the lawyer reach out to somebody who had connections to Barry Porter. I want to say a former world champion from, I think it was George Jones. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But they were looking for me through Barry, which everybody knew that Barry had started me in boxing is, you know, a big reason for my skill set to this day, along with terrific gifts. And we went from there. They had me fight on their card. They showed interest, and you know, they got it done. And you know, that's how I ended up signing with MVP.
So you sparred with Richard Comey. I seen you spar with Sean Porter. Are there any other men names that are familiar to us that you sparred with?
I sparred with Kendall Holt. I sparred with Shane Mosley Jr.
Wow.
I sparred with
which one did you knock down? Who'd you knock down?
None of those guys.
I seen you put a hurting on some guys.
Who hits the hardest out of all of those dudes? And I'm pretty sure at some point maybe those guys didn't go 100%.
I don't know about that.
Or did they?
She punched hard.
You got Paul Warlock. I hated sparring him. I hated sparring Paul Warlock. He's another world-class champion fighter. Sparred Tank, Ian Green, John Chance, Norman Neely. The bigger guys kind of work with me. So many world champions, even female world champions. Alicia Napoleon.
Okay. From Brooklyn, right?
I want to say there's one. Sean Porter dropped me with a body shot. I'll never forget. He dropped me with a body shot in Gleason's, and then he told me what he told me. He said, "Listen, if I drop, this was for the Danny Garcia camp. If I get Danny Garcia with that body shot, I'm gonna give you a bonus."
Wait till I talk to Sean and ask him why the hell he throwing hard body shots your way.
Boy, about hitting the girl, he hit the girl.
Yo, we was just with him 2 days ago, so that's yesterday actually.
Listen, if you seen how hard Shadasia punches, you know why Sean was punching hard like that. I held the pass for her. She punches very, very hard.
All right. Well, listen, Shadasia, I'm excited for you to get in the ring with any of those big names. Yeah. I hope the scenario that you mentioned and that I was talking about last week actually plays out, because I would love to see you against Cruz, of course, Franchon Cruz, but Claressa Shields at 168, if she should end up with all of those titles.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Special talent. Love seeing you in the ring, and I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Introducing the new DAZN Boxing Show podcast. No matter the time or the place, getting your boxing content has become easier than ever. Tune in as we give you exclusive insights, predictions, fight night recaps, and more alongside the biggest names in the game. All for free. Available globally every Thursday across all audio streaming platforms and with new episodes dropping weekly to give you the latest news. Just type in the DAZN Boxing Show podcast, listen in, and enjoy.